Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, Monday afternoon. And anybody remember what happened in the United States a little more than 200 years ago? Hmm. We had a war, didn't we? What do you need for a war? Troops, right? It kind of helps. What's going on right now? Wars, right? Ukraine, Gaza, soon to be Taiwan. We know that. Okay. What are we lacking? Troops. I'm going to give you some quick stats here, real quick. This is kind of interesting. Great Britain now has the smallest military they have had in over 200 years. Okay. The United States has the smallest military we've had since before World War II. Mind you, around World War I, which was only 20 years before World War II, we basically had next to no military. Okay. We are the smallest military we have in the United States in the modern era. I want you to look at something real quick. Take a look at this. This is the size of the current militaries around the world, the top 20 countries. Okay. Vietnam, communist country, or at least socialist, okay, socialist government, okay, has over 10 million active duty paramilitary and military reserves. Okay. I wouldn't consider Vietnam to be a big threat, but if we wind up with a two-side war, I'd have a tendency to believe Vietnam would probably more lean toward the Chinese side than the U.S. side. Okay. India, probably more toward the U.S. side. China, obviously the Chinese side. Russia, with everything going on right now, sure seems like more toward the Chinese side than the United States. But we go into this whole thing about funding NATO. I was talking about this the other day, right? 10 of 30 countries that are part of NATO are actually meeting their funding obligations. What's NATO? It's the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? We are supposed to protect Europe. Let's take a look at this. The largest military in Europe is Germany, who is the 18th largest military in the world, smaller than Pakistan, Brazil, Indonesia, Egypt, Mexico, the Philippines, Bangladesh, Nigeria, right? Okay. And then you have the largest military in Europe, Germany. You want to know how bad it is right now for the Germans? The Germans are considering reinstating conscription, the draft, okay? Because their military is so small, they can't defend the borders. Who are they expecting to do it? Like the rest of Europe, they're expecting the United States to do it. Except we have this slight problem. We don't have any money, and we don't have any troops. Okay? Now, remember me being a vet, okay? I look at the way the state of the military is in the United States right now, and I go, would I recommend my daughter? Would I recommend any kid to join the military? No. Okay. Not because of the reasons that all these Gen Zers are bitching on TikTok about it. Oh, the food is crummy. Oh, you won't see your family. Oh, the pay sucks. Yeah, okay. So please tell me this. The food was better where? When you were standing on the corner in the hood, eating your Big Mac with your 40 in your hand, selling drugs, right? That was better food, seeing your homies and, making more money. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Even though a career of being shot at in the military, let's say you're in infantry, your life expectancy is probably a little higher than it is on the streets of the south side of Chicago or Philadelphia somewhere. Now, the reason I wouldn't say to anybody to join the military is because of the woke policies. You guys remember the video I put up a couple of years ago about the TV advertising for the Chinese military, for the Russian military, and Of course, then we had the one for ours, the U.S. military, My Two Moms. Okay, that was it. It was about the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. We're seeing people, ETS, get out of the military left and right, and nobody's signing up. Now, could you say, well, Joe's employment is doing so well. People join the military when there's no other jobs, and Joe's created all these jobs. No, the labor participation rate is lower than it was when Trump left office, and the U6 unemployment rate is the same. So there ain't any more jobs. Okay, so it's not that. Gen Zers, millennials, are typical, lazy, entitled, whatever. I'm 18 years old and I want my Ferrari. What do you mean the military is not paying me a six-figure salary? Okay. That free food that they get, that free room and board they get, free electricity they get, that free training they get, that if they're smart can find something that will parlay into a good career. They don't think about that. Oh, the GI Bill, the college education that they can get by serving. No, they don't think about that. Me. They don't think about the camaraderie they have being a veteran, with all the other vets. But let's look at this. Go back to that list I showed you. Take a look at where the countries are located. One in Europe, unless you want to consider part of Russia's in Europe, part of Turkey's in Europe. You've got one in South America, and you've got a couple in Africa and the United States. And nearly 2/3 of the rest of them are all in Asia. Isn't that ironic? Okay. We hear over and over and over again from our politicians who are stuck in the Cold War going, Russia's our greatest enemy. Russia hasn't been our greatest enemy since the late 80s, early 90s. Okay. When the Soviet Union fell, that was it. Our greatest enemy is China. Economically, militarily, socially, anything. Okay. Who is going to be the one that is going to try to take over the United States? It ain't going to be Russia. Okay. It's not going to be Iran. Iran may be the little brother, but China's the big player here. Remember, this is a developing nation who just so happens to have the second largest economy in the world, but they're still a developing nation. That's why they're allowed to build coal plants and all this sort of stuff. When it comes down to it, guys, we're on our own. Half of our military is stationed overseas. If there's any quote unquote attack on the United States, we don't have a domestic military. They're on the DMZ in Korea. They're stationed all over Europe. They're stationed all over Africa. They're stationed in the Middle East. We don't have a whole lot here. The ones who are going to have to protect this country are you and me. The ragtag bunch of Minutemen that we are. Just remember that, because unlike the United States, China's not going to say, hey, we're invading in 5 days. China's just going to come in one day and say, hi, we're here. How are you going to deal with it?